It's Pyram King, and I'm really excited to bring to you another guide to Curse of Strahd. These are 3 unique Barovian encounters I had been working on. I'm still stuck here in this Airbnb on a Wi-Fi hotspot. We're going on week 9. I was only supposed to be here 2 weeks before I got to move into my place, so this is a little frustrating. But as I'm working on the random encounters for Curse of Strahd, DM Andy produced 3 unique maps, and I thought they deserve their own module. There are 2 locations that the players will go to, and a 3rd location that I thought was important for the catalyst, the flashpoint event that all of this takes place. So I'm really excited to bring this to you. Now, before we get started, a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters. It's your encouragement, your ideas, your help that really allows me to put these together. You guys have been really active on Discord. I've added some new things in Discord. I'm sharing all my token art, some of my Theater of the Mind maps on there. I really appreciate it. Now, as you know, so you don't have to take notes during this video, I make detailed PDF guides of all of these videos. As well, everything you see here is a Foundry Adventure module. Now, if you're interested in the PDF guide, interested in the Foundry Adventure module, and want to join us on our Discord channel, you can become a Patreon. There's a link down below in the description, patreon.com/Pyram King. Now, another person I need to especially give a huge shout out to and a big thank you to is DM Andy. DM Andy and I have been on this adventure together through Curse of Strahd, this epic journey. He's creating these gorgeous battle maps that are hugely inspirational. You're going to see some of them here today. Now, if you're playing on a tabletop or if you're playing on Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, or some other VTT platform, these maps are available in digital 8K, 4K, WebP, grid, non-grid, night, day, special weather effects. They're all available on DM Andy's Patreon page. Go and check those out. There's a link down below. In addition, these Foundry and modules that you get to enjoy as Foundry users, they exist because of Blair and his Scene Packer module. If you're interested in making your own adventures and sharing them, check out Blair's Scene Packer module. There's a link to his Patreon down below. Both DM Andy and Blair are on our Discord channel. If you have questions about the maps or Scene Packer, need some help, or have some ideas, they're on there. They're actively participating on our Discord channel as well. So let's jump right into this, shall we? Now, there are 3 locations. We're going to go from the east of Barovia and move to the west. And the first location we have up here is the Sentry Tower. And each one of these locations are important because they're going to explain some more stuff, some more lore, provide some more clues, fill in a lot of the missing gaps. The Sentry Tower is the location of the flashpoint, the catalyst event, ground zero, that from that moment, the event that happened here, Barovia just went downhill, turned into the gothic horse shit show that we know it today. What happened here at the lone Sentry Tower? Well, I'm going to show you first here on the map. You can see there's a map here. You can see here is Castle Ravenloft. There's the village of Barovia. You take the road and you travel around Tesser Pools, cross the falls, and there's the windmill. And as you get here, you're going to go by the Lake Zarovich over to Vlaki. Right over here, there's an old crossroad. It's kind of overgrown. It hasn't been used in centuries, and it leads up to a hill right here. And on top of this hill, there is a lone Sentry Tower. It's in ruins now, but it was used obviously hundreds of years ago. Now, we need to understand a little bit about this tower and what happened here. When Strahd came to the land of Barovia, to this valley, with his army, he was a ambitious young prince, aggressive, very smart with tactics and strategy, and ended up taking the eastern side of Barovia very quickly, and fortified the old castle on the hill, which later became Barovia, as you know. His brother later came, his younger brother, as the war progressed, staying in the castle up on the hill, and fell in love with a beautiful woman in the valley, Tatyana. Now, Strahd also fell in love with Tatyana. And Strahd was frustrated because Strahd couldn't see why Tatyana would love the younger brother. I mean, Strahd was going to be the king. Strahd led the army. Strahd was better than his brother in every way, shape, and form. He was the alpha male. I mean, she should love me, not Sergei. But love is love, and they were deeply in love. Sergei and Tatyana were deeply in love with one another. The war progressed fairly well for Strahd. He had pushed his adversaries back west across the Luna River, and things were going fairly well. Now, Strahd had discovered the Amber Temple, and upon discovering the Amber Temple, he discovered the Dark Powers. And the Dark Powers offered him a gift of immortality in combination with being kind of a vampire. And initially, it wasn't too alluring. I mean, immortality is nice, but the vampire part not so nice. And the fact, in order to get this dark power, Strahd would have to kill someone he loved. Now, initially, Strahd wasn't really an evil guy. He was an ambitious, he was an alpha male, ambitious, tenacious guy, but he wasn't purely evil at this point, all right? But this thought occurred to him. He was in love with Tatyana, and he imagined in his twisted, sick mind that Tatyana and him could live a life together in love as immortals ruling over the lands of Barovia till the end of time. It was so alluring to him that he agreed to take the dark gift, and he would sacrifice his brother. I mean, as much as he loved his brother, what did his brother do? I mean, it was Strahd ruling the army, Strahd was winning the battles, Strahd would be the king. His brother was just he convinced himself his brother was just milking off of him and stealing and manipulating the woman that he loved to love him instead of Strahd. And Strahd, in his twisted, conniving, tactical way, figured, if I can make it look like the enemy kills my brother, Sergei, Tatyana will run into my arms. She'll be grieving, and she'll want me to take vengeance upon those who killed my brother. I will be grieving too, and perhaps we can, in our vengeful greed, we'll turn into this intertwining love that we are there together, dealing with this difficult time of my brother and her previous fiance, who's been dead. It'll just bind us together. I mean, he's playing out this fantasy in his head. Strahd gets back to the castle, and he tells his brother that there's some concern that the armies, our enemy, might be coming across north here of Lake Zarovich. It might be making a flanking maneuver onto our castle. And we have our lone sentry tower. Sergei, can you go out there and just assess the tower and make sure the ramparts and everything and the garrison is well secured, and if there's any reports of any enemy, bring them back. And Sergei was more than pleased to be able to do something finally for his brother. Now, what Strahd had done is he had called the captain of his elite guard, Chronovich. Now, Chronovich, if you can imagine the mountain from Game of Thrones, that is Chronovich. He is a huge beast of a person, and he led the elite guard, Strahd's elite guard, in battle, and he became known to be just ruthless. He would slaughter. There was no mercy. Chronovich offered no mercy to any enemy that he came upon, and he became known, and his group of elite guard became known as the Blood Guard, because after battle they'd be covered and soaked with their enemy's blood all over their army. They became known as the Blood Guard, and Chronovich was the captain, and just a ruthless, evil, brute, heathen of an individual. Strahd asks Chronovich to lie in wait at the Lone Tower to kill my brother, Sergei. Now, Chronovich was spying something that Strahd had. Strahd had a ring called the Ring of Hellfire, a very powerful ring that had some magic abilities. And Chronovich said, sure, for that Ring of Hellfire, I'll do it. And Strahd agreed. So Chronovich and the Blood Guard hid at the Sentry Tower. When Sergei arrived, Chronovich struck him down, killed Sergei, carried back the body to Castle Ravenloft. Strahd gave him the ring. Obviously, he was wearing the ring of Hellfire. Now, when he showed up to court with Sergei's body to present it to Strahd and obviously Tatyana, he said, "Hey, the enemy has crossed. They attacked Sergei at the the lone Sentry Tower, and unfortunately he fell. Now, Strahd was all distraught. Oh, how could this be? And, putting on some theatrics. But Tatyana was very smart. Something didn't smell right, and she spied it right away. The first thing is she knew, as did everybody, that they had already pressed the enemy west of the Lunar River, right? And there would be no way that the army would be able to get in this far towards Ravenloft without them knowing. Not to mention, if there was the enemy there, and where is any of the proof? Where are their bodies? Why didn't they bring any of the bodies there? The second thing is Chronovich. Now, Chronovich led the Blood Guard. He was out on the Lunar River, constantly at war, fighting. There would be no way that he would be back in the defenses going to some sentry outpost. It just doesn't make sense. Chronovich never stood a sentry duty in his life. He was, a battle master out there in battle. But the thing that really tipped it over the top for Tatyana was when she was looking at Chronovich, he was wearing the Hellfire Ring, and she knew it was just one of Strahd's most prized possessions. And he saw her gazing at the ring, and he smiled, looking at the ring, and looked at her. And she knew at that moment what had happened. Chronovich was commanded by Strahd to kill Sergei, and in return, he would be rewarded the Ring of Hellfire. Strahd's plan went obviously dastardly wrong, right? She raced to her room, just filled with grief, and she proceeded to write a suicide note. And I have this suicide note here, and I'll read it to you. So this is Tatyana's suicide note, and it's an important item that you can give to your players. I'll try to read it in her voice. My heart is filled with pain and disgust. I can no longer bear the evil and darkness that grows around me. It penetrates my bones with filth and decay. Chronovich, the murderous captain of Strahd's Blood Guard, arrived at the castle, carrying the body of my lover Sergei. He claims that Sergei fell in battle while scouting the lone Sentry Tower on the hill, northwest of castle, near the lake. Yet that cannot be. My Sergei is a lover, not a fighter, and why would he be scouting the enemy? There have been no signs of the enemy northeast or near the lake. The enemy has been pushed west, past the Lunar River. Chronovich was wearing Strahd's precious ring of hellfire proudly. The heathen even smirked at me. He knew when I cast my gaze upon the ring, the message would be clear. Chronovich killed Sergei on Strahd's command, and the precious ring was a reward of such a foul deed. My lover has not fallen, not in battle, but fallen at the command of his own brother Strahd. Strahd is a coward, shrinking from the horrible task of commanding others to murder his own brother. His vile pursuance of my affection has ventured into a realm so unfathomable and unforgivable. What has become of the noble Tsarovich name? Strahd's darkness knows no bounds. My own grandmother was a Vistani, and if there is any power in my blood, I curse Strahd to a life of torment, of broken heart and pain, and that it never fade, that any man that would murder his own brother is the devil. And I curse his horrid pet, Chronovich, still covered in the blood of my lover. I spit on his grave as I go to my own, and condemned his spirit to haunt the place in which he slaughtered my love of my heart, Sergei Verzanovich. This castle has nothing left for me. It is a wicked place. My heart aches, and I cannot stand it no more. My love, I pray these words reach to you in your death, and I seek to become by your side, for life here holds no more value for me. Tatyana. This is her suicide note, and after she writes the suicide note, she goes to the pillar of Ravenloft, the cliff on which the castle is built, and she flings herself from the cliff, falling 1,000 feet below, down into the Tesser River. Her body is never recovered. Some believe this curse that she left did work. We do know that Strahd is desperately and foreverly seeking the soul of Tatyana, and, well, you're going to soon learn what happened to Chronovich. the captain of the Blood Guard. Now, Tatyana's note is a really cool item to give to the players, and you're going to be wondering, how do you give it to the players? There's two ways you can do it. One way works fairly well. You can have the note, her suicide note, hidden in a book. Maybe it's hidden in the court of Ravenloft or the Book of Kings, and as they open it, the note falls out and they can read it. However, I think I have a better idea. I think this note, with her cursing and going through this massive amount of anguish, the suicide note itself has some little bit of spirit of Tatyana in it. And the note, through happenstance and circumstances, finds its way always to the vessel, the born person who becomes the vessel for Tatyana's soul. And so the note has found its way through various circumstances to Irina. She has this note. And the reason that Tatyana's soul is forcing this note kind of on a mind of its own to Irina is to warn her. The note is to warn her the evils and the horrors of Strahd. That is what the note is to do. It's this suicide note that Tatyana has killed herself because of what Strahd has done. And so Irina has this note, and she can share it with the players, and it reveals some interesting things. Obviously, it reveals a lone tower. It reveals the kind of the backstory between Sergei and Strahd, the dark powers. All of these things are kind of revealed somewhat in this note. So now you know the backstory. You have this note, and we know where it's located at, is the lone Sentry Tower. So as your players are heading towards Vlaki, they get to this, they leave the Bone Grinder, they get to this kind of roundabout here, they're going to notice this kind of old path. It hasn't been used in centuries, and it kind of leads up to the woods, and in the distance they can see kind of the ruins of an old tower on a hill. And you don't want to tell them it's the old tower in here, but if they're kind of navigating and go, hey, wait a second, this is northwest. This is northwest of Castle Ravenloft. There's this lone tower up here on this hill. This could be the lone Sentry Tower that's from Tatyana's suicide note. So let's go into the combat encounter. All that stuff is written in here, including the suicide note, give you the backstory. Now, Chronovich, this is where your players are going to show up. They're going to show up over here on the west side of the map. And there are a couple of spiders here. We're going to zoom in. You're going to see them. They're wolf spiders, and they're up in these trees. Now, I want to segue for a second because I think this is important when we talk about encounters. This isn't a... I like to remind players when they begin playing, especially Curse of Strahd, this isn't a video game. You're not like World of Warcraft where you're out there just farming monsters. There's possibilities where you run into encounters that they're not going to attack you. They could just be sitting there like a spider up in the tree or some wolf in the woods. You can go ahead and begin the combat encounter, but as a DM, I don't always recommend doing that, and I also don't recommend engaging every single time there's a combat encounter. You don't really want your players going through Barovia as murder hobos, killing everything they see in the forest, right? It should be the combat encounters should be engaging because they need to defend themselves. They're trying to get somewhere. It's advancing the story. The players realize there's risk to life and limb, and I'm willing to do this because I need to get to Castle Ravenloft, or I need to get this item, not just out there monster hunting, killing spiders. So the way the spiders, I would play the spiders here, and I've put them in the tree, you can delete them if you want, is the players will see them. The players, as they're wandering through here, they'll see them, and the spiders will not attack. The spiders won't attack unless they're attacked, or a player gets within 5 feet of the spider. Then the spider will see, hey, this is lunch. So these are wolf spiders, just normal D&D wolf spiders we have here. Whoop, there he is right there. Okay. Now, as the players come up this winding path up to the lone tower, you can see I put some walls in here. They're one-way viewed walls, so they can see down. They can't see up. They're going to come to the inside of the lone tower right here. Now, the inside of the lone tower, when they come in here, I'll just show you the walls again really quickly. I put some of these masking walls in here. I like to have a lot of shadows. They can't see around things. It makes things interesting. They're going to see this chest right here. And inside this chest, the chest is not locked. As soon as they start to open the chest, and the chest has the ring, by the way, in it. It has the ring of hellfire in it. And we're going to talk about that in a second. It's a very, very powerful weapon. As soon as they touch the chest, Chronovich appears. Now let's talk about Chronovich and his stat block. Chronovich is been cursed here. Remember, Tatyana curses him. He is here. He can't leave. And he is stuck here at the lone tower, the Sentry Lone Tower. Now, he is a seriously tuned down Death Knight. I lowered some of his stats. He's 18 strength, 18 constitution, wisdom 14, charisma 16. Hit points are 100. And his features is I do have a longsword here. He has, instead of 3 attacks, he only has 1 attack. The longsword does an additional 2d4 of necrotic damage here. He does 2 attacks with the longsword. He has the Hellfire Orb, and I've really ratcheted this down a lot. This only does 3d6 of fire and 3d6 of necrotic damage. I'll show you that right here. We'll just bring that up. If he does the orb, I'll just turn this off so I can show it to you. So it's going to do this damage. It's going to be 3d6 of fire and 3d6 of necrotic. And it goes out to about 120 feet, does this 20-foot radius sphere, and it explodes. Now the players are going to roll it's a DC save, DC 15 dexterity save otherwise, and if they save, they take half damage. This is a one-shot. He gets this once a day. This is what the Ring of Hellfire creates. So once a day, the Ring of Hellfire creates the Hellfire Orb. So if you're playing Chronovich, and he sees that the party is gathered together where he can hit them with a 20-foot radius, he's going to use this Hellfire Orb. He's going to only use it if he thinks he can get more than one target in it. If you get 2-3 targets in that 20-foot radius, he's definitely going to use it. The other thing is he can parry, and he can parry once as a reaction. It adds 2 to his AC class, takes it up to 20. So he is going to be a very formidable opponent. He has magic resistance, and he marshals the undead. So that means if there's any undead near him within 60 feet, they roll advantage on saving throws. So what's going to happen is right after the first round, coming out of the ground are 2 of his blood guards. And here's one right here. There's one blood guard, and here's the other blood guard. So they're going to be kind of crawling up out of the ground, the 2 blood guards, after the first round of combat. Now, depending on your party's level, depending on your size of the party, you might want to wait till round 2. You might want to wait and only have 1 blood guard come out of the ground, and then round 3, another blood guard come out of the ground. If your party is super strong, you might want to add more blood guards. It's up to you. I have 2 of them in here. Let's talk about the blood guard very quickly. They are loosely based off the Phantom Knight from Curse of Strahd. I changed around their spectral swords the same. They do 2 attacks, but they only have incorporeal movement and the spectral armor here. They only do double attacks. Armor class is 16, and so they're going to come to the aid. Remember, in life, the blood guards served with Cronus, and this is Cronus here. This is Cronus. Now, if they kill Cronus and they kill the blood guard, I put the spiders here. The spiders won't attack, but if the players start to flee or run and they actually get too close to the spiders, I see the spider as kind of a trapping mechanism, right? They can see the spider. If you get 5 feet within in the range of the spider will attack you. If you're beyond 5 feet, they won't attack. You can play that how you want to, but I wanted the spiders to be more of obstacles than actual enemies. You know, they're the natural spiders living out here in the woods. Now, if you do get the Ring of Hellfire, it creates one of these Hellfire orbs. And this is how it works. First of all, they must attune to the ring, and the ring is cursed. They will not know it's cursed, and there's nothing they can do. There's no Arcana check. If you want to add one, I make it like an Arcana 20. They have to crit, or maybe get an Arcana 20 or higher for them to know that it's cursed. They won't know that it's cursed until they put it on. Once they put on the ring, they're going to know that it's cursed. And what the ring does is once a day, it creates a Hellfire Orb, just like the orb that he had. It does 3d6 of fire, 3d6 of necrotic. You can fire it out to 120 feet in a 20-foot radius. It is a wicked, wicked item. However, when you wear this ring, you're cursed. That means you're always going to, if you have the orb, you're going to fire the orb. And that means the next night during the long rest, it's going to create another one. And when you create another one, you have to roll a Constitution saving throw of a DC 15. If you fail that save, the ring is sucking some of the life energy out of you, and you lose 1 Constitution point if you fail the save. You create the orb, and you're going to use the orb. You're cursed to use the orb, the fire orb that the ring creates. And then the next night, when it creates another orb, you're going to roll a Constitution save, DC 15. Otherwise, you lose another Constitution point. The only thing to get rid of this is remove curse. Now, if the wearer's Constitution falls to 0, they become an undead knight taken over by the DM. So this is a very powerful weapon, but it's very cursed to use it. So you're going to you have a chance of slowly eroding your Constitution with this ring. I thought it would be really cool to create a very powerful ring, but at the same time, make it very cursed. No one likes to lose their Constitution, but it's a handoff. You're going to get this really cool orb to fling some huge damage, but at the same time, risk. It's not guaranteed to lose it, but risk losing some Constitution on the DC 15. Now, what's really cool about this, and I think from my story, what I told you, you realize what happened here is the catalyst, the flashpoint that started everything. This is where Sergei died, here at this tower. This is where Chronovich killed him. And one of the reasons, I just want to segue for a second, one of the reasons I love Curse of Strahd is as an author and a vivacious reader, and I love Shakespeare and tragedy. This is an epic tragedy. I mean, we are mixing Romeo and Juliet, that's Tatyana and Sergei, kind of, with Macbeth and Richard III. You've got 3 great Shakespearean tragedies kind of wrapped up together that really creates motivation and story and lore. I mean, if Shakespeare was alive today, I imagine him writing Curse of Strahd and kind of elaborating on all of this. And that's what really makes this an epic game. Strahd's not just a bad guy. It's not about good or evil. Strahd is this tortured soul who loathes himself for what he's done. And he's on this obsessive pursuit of Tatyana. And it all happened right here at the lone Sentry Tower where his brother was killed. Now, what's also cool about this location, by the way, is this can be a early game as the players are heading to Valaki location if they've got her suicide note. This could be a mid-game encounter, or this could be a late-game encounter. Maybe the players are marching on to Ravenloft at this point. They might pass or see the Lone Tower. Maybe you're in your game, you're going, oh, they notice the Lone Tower, they go there, they run into them. Or you can even have the Blood Knights and Chronovich be called forth by Strahd as the players are raiding Ravenloft. He calls them forth to come to their aid. So maybe Chronovich and the Bloodguard show up at Ravenloft, march from the lone Sentry Tower towards Ravenloft in one last effort to save their Dark Prince, Lord Strahd. So that's the first one. I hope you really liked it. I really enjoyed writing this. Again, this was inspired by this gorgeous map that Dee and Andy put together. And also I kept on thinking about this whole death of Sergei and Tatyana. I wanted to weave that in there and then create that note here, Tatyana's note. All right, let's go to the next one, which is the Lunar River Crossing. So here we are at the Lunar River Crossing, and let's show you where that is on this map. Okay, Lunar River Crossing, there we go. So you have Valaki right here, and as you're heading across the Lunar River, this is Lunar River, we're talking about this map is this area right here. If you go north, you're heading to the Wizard's Tower. If you head west, this heads off to Kresk, and if you head south, you're going down. There's Argynvost Holt here, and you're heading down to Berez. Now, I wanted something that would be a little bit more lighthearted. So it's not just a combat encounter like the first one. This one's also lighthearted with some lore. So what happens in this particular one is as the players, I created a new creature. This is kind of this creature is from the Book of the Beautiful Whores. It's a Nekker. And the Nekker is not very strong. You can see it only has 7 hit points. But it has a couple of things that's worth noting, and I want to point these out because we don't use these a lot, but we're going to use this with the Nekker. It can burrow and climb 30 feet. Burrow underground 30 feet, climb 30 feet. It uses its claws to attack. It's not a big deal. And one Nekker is no big deal. However, the Nekker has three things that are important. Number one, it has Fey Ancestry. It has advantage on saving throws against being charmed. Magic can't put it to sleep. So it can't be charmed, can't be put to sleep, or it could. It rolls saving throws. It uses pack tactics. It has advantage on attack rolls against creatures if at least one of the other Nekker allies are within 5 feet. So if there's two Nekker allies, they get advantage on their attack rolls. They're also ambushers. The first round of combat, the Nekker has advantage on attack rolls against any creature it has surprised. So the way this works, these are all invisible here. So as the players cross this bridge, the Nekkers like to live under the bridge, and they live right around here. They'll swarm in. There's 5 on the south, 5 on the north. They're going to swarm in. So in mass, these Nekkers are pretty deadly. And I would keep them invisible. I would highlight them all like this. I'll show you what I would do. This is how I do it. I'd put them all. They're invisible right now. I'd put them all in combat. Oh, where we go? Let me get this here. There we go. I would put them all in combat. And I would roll, this is roll for all the NPCs. And I would leave them invisible. Players won't know how many are in combat. And then I would just, depending on your party size and how they're divided up, I would just, make one visible. Like, okay, this one's close by. I'm going to make this one visible. I'm going to make this one visible. And slowly make them visible. And what you want to do with this Nekker, and this is how we play the Nekkers, is if the Nekker is in a tree or in an area, and I like to use a lot of these shadow things. If they're in here within 5 to 10 feet of a party member, they're going to ambush. They're going to gain surprise. You're going to make them visible, and they're going to gain surprise. So when it's coming up to that Nekker's turn, like this one right here, let's say this one here, it's his turn. You move him invisibly, and then you make him visible, and then he gets an ambush on that turn. Now, ambush is really for the first round. Depending on your party size. Now, these Nekkers are one-shots. I mean, your party's going to whack these things. They're going to be a nuisance, but in the numbers, we're talking about this encounter is really an action economy encounter. I would add as many Nekkers as many actions that your parties have. So if you have a party of 4 and each member in your party has 2 actions, I would add 8 Nekkers. Just keep it easy. So make it even on an action economy basis, because they're just going to kind of swarm in. And you can add more or less of these things as you want. Now, what's going to happen, this is the fun part. What's going to happen as the Nekkers are kind of swarming in on your players here, look at, they're just kind of moving all over the place, kind of swarming in around your players and attacking. This creature, which is this undead, is going to come out of the woods and come down here, and he's going to start making some noise, raising his sword, shooing away the Nekkers. And you're going to go, the players are going to look at this, and it's going to be this undead knight. This undead knight, Sir Lingurvich, is, and he looks kind of weird. He's an undead knight. He's actually a revenant. He's going to come out of the woods. He's coming from a ruin out of the woods, and the Nekker are going to scatter when they see him as he comes. He is one of the Order of the Silver Dragon, and he's got a very interesting story. He's going to be very friendly to the players. He doesn't know he's a revenant. And here is his story. I really like this character, Sir Lingurvich. He lingers, and he's a knight, and he's got these spoons on his head. And I'll tell you the whole little story about him. So he is. There's rumors. What I would do is in Bloc, talk about rumors about some ghosts and some creature. The bridge is haunted. He is the source of these rumors. He was a knight of the Silver Dragon who was posted at the old guardhouse right up here. So you can see there's an old guardhouse up here. This ruin right here is the old guardhouse. And his job was to go light, you can see this here, light the lanterns on the bridge at night. So we'd come and light these 2 lanterns on both ends of the bridge, and he kept the watch on the bridge. Now, this knight was not one of the super, super brave knights that we've been hearing about. He was actually a knight, but was also the cook at Argynvost. He was the cook for all the knights at Argynvost Holt. It's just down the road. And so when the war came, he donned his armor, and he was assigned to head up and to be the watch at the Lunar River crossroads, and that's what he's done. Now what's happened is he has gone mad. He's lost his memory completely. He does not know he's a revenant. He thinks the war is still going on. He doesn't understand when he goes lights the lanterns, once in a while he'll see somebody and they go running off in fear, and he thinks, well, maybe because the war is still on, they might think he's a knight from the bad guy, on the bad guy's side. And so he's been stationed at this post for centuries. Now, chances are he's probably been killed a few times, but as a revenant, he comes back and he doesn't remember anything, and he just comes right back to his post and repeats it. I mean, I imagine he's stuck like in the movie Groundhog Day, but doesn't realize he's stuck in the movie Groundhog Day, and he's just reliving this day over and over and over. And he's so duty-bound. So I imagine that his brain, as he's gone mad and forgetful, his brain is focused on the fact that he's loyal, duty-bound knight, and he must do his duty. Now, what's nice about it is he will scare away the Nekker, and he will invite the party up to his watch place up here. And the party will look at this, and he doesn't see a ruin. The party will see a ruin. He sees this as the watch house. He'll go through the motions in his mind. He sees it not in ruins, but as a normal watch house, and he'll be making stuff for the party and offering them a drink. Would you like some bread and cheese? And he'll sit down and talk to the party. Now, what he'll say is, the war has been difficult and long, but he's sure that the Knights of the Silver Dragon will prevail. They're the bravest of all Barovia. And he will share information with them. If the players ask, or you can roleplay this how you want to, I'll tell you some of the things that he says to the players. You ask him about Velaki. Here he is right here. I love this guy. He's got the spoon crown on. He wears that. And he sees this as, he's loyal, duty-bound knight. Oh, Velaki. Oh, Velaki is the largest village in Barovia. It lies to the east, on the other side of the bridge. The people there are good, and the Knights of the Silver Dragon will protect the people from the Dark Prince, of course. And not many people leave the village since the war has begun. Don't see too many of them. If they ask about Vasani, he'll say, they're scoundrels, not to be trusted. I see them from time to time on the road, but they run off. I scare them away. Actually, they run away because they see this undead revenant coming at them, but he doesn't know he's an undead revenant. If you ask him about Argynvost, he says, My lord Argynvost is the greatest of liege lords. I'm honor-bound and serve him with my life. Argynvost Holt is my home. It's a stone-fortified manor south of here, along the Lunar River. It is a beautiful place, especially in the springtime, and I look forward to returning when I'm relieved here of my duties. Now, if they ask about Berez, this gets a little sad. Your players might get a little sad. I don't know how emotional your players are, but this is a little sad thing here. Berez. It is my favorite village. It's just south of Argynvost Holt. There is a beautiful farm girl there named Lily, just like a flower. And I'm smitten with her. I will be asking for her hand in marriage when this war is over, and I hope to settle in Berez and look forward to being a father. So he, in his mind, he is in love with this farm girl from Berez, and he's waiting for the war to end. He's smitten with her. He's in love with her. They've probably have little kind of romantic picnics. He wants to go ask her for her hand in marriage. And she's been dead for centuries. He doesn't know that Berez has been turned into a swamp, that Baba Lyzaga's run amok down there. Doesn't know any of that. He's been standing watch here for centuries. If they ask him about the Wizard Tower, which is to the north, that lays to the north road. Kazan, he's a great old wise man. He would visit me when he travels. He would share some Barovian bread and break cheese with me. Some say hello. So say hello if you see him. It's been some time since he's visited. He often would come, and we would break bread and have some cheese, some Barovian wine sometimes, but don't tell anyone. So you learn right away that Kazan was the wizard. That's Kazan's Wizard's Tower, and this knight here would have bread and cheese with Kazan when he would travel past. If they ask about Krusk, he says, "The Abbey of St. Martikov lays on the hill overlooking a small village. It lays far to the west. King Habsburg took a beautiful young nun from the Abbey as his bride. She's lovely, and they often travel by here on their way to the Abbey in their summer retreat. She waves to me as she passes this very road." Well, come to think of it, it's been some time since they've passed by. Truth be told, King Habsburg and his wife have been murdered. They lost the war. Strahd is the ruler. So he doesn't know. This is what he knows. Now, if the players try to convince him, he will not be convinced. He is duty-bound. He is so loyal. This is what he's believed for centuries. And so it's fun. It'll be fun to role-play him. He can share them stories of the past. If you want to share more lore, you can, around Argynvost and all that. But remember, his knowledge base is stuck in a very, very narrow window, and anything that took place after the fall, anything that took place before the fall of Argynvost, he does not know. He's not aware. The war is still on for him. So this is I think this is going to be a really, really fun encounter here. And you can visit him, come back and visit him. Maybe later on he'll join you on the march, maybe with the other revenants on a march against Ravenloft. So I really like him. I think he's a fun guy. Look at him. He's got his little, there he is. Poor guy. Sir Lingurvich. I really like him. All right, let's go to the last one. This is another encounter I'm really going to like. Again, by the way, this is another gorgeous map by DM Andy here. One of the things I like to do is I do like to put lights on my map. I make my maps dark and I put a light on it as if the moon is shining in a certain location. It hides stuff behind the trees, but I do like to do that. Okay, let's go to the last one here. The Raven Bridge. Now, this bridge here the Raven River Bridge. So if we look on the map, the Raven River Bridge, as you're coming into Kresk, you've got to cross the Raven River. You can see right here, here's the Wizard's Tower. And so the road from all three reconverge right here from the Lunar River crossing to cross this bridge. And so we're looking at this area right here is what we're talking about. Okay, right across the Raven River Bridge. Now you're going to notice as you cross over the Raven River Bridge, the first thing you're going to come to is you're going to see, I'm going to zoom in closely, you're going to see these two skulls here. And if you roll a history check, they're pagan statues by the bridge, and they're used to ward off evil against crossing the water in the bridge. And so they're set up here on either side of the bridge. As you cross the bridge to the other side, you're going to notice some sheep. There's some sheep here. Check them out. They're out here just grazing over here in a little fenced pasture. You've got some, and you can't see these, by the way. The players can't see them. They're all hidden. Not to mention, not only are they hidden, however, this whole area is all hidden, and I'll show you how that works. But this is some crops. You could say it's rye and barley, it's wheat here, and there's an old windmill up here slowly moving. And as the players cross the bridge, a woman from the windmill will come down and greet them along the road. And there she is there, this beautiful woman here, and she lives up there. And her name is Ovidia. Now, Ovidia is, I changed it from Ovidia, which is Portuguese for shepherd. She's a shepherd. Those are her sheep. And she has this mill here. And she's first going to ask them when they come across a Lunar River crossing, she's going to say to them, oh, that's the river road. Wrong one. Raven River crossing, not the Lunar River. The farm belongs to her, and she is a druid, but she will not tell the players that she's a druid unless she can trust them. So she's first going to inquire. She's going to come up to the road, run alongside the road. She says, "Have you seen the Martikovs? The wine shipment to Kresk has been long overdue. What about word from Vallaki? We have not seen their supply wagon for some time." So she's going to sound urgent. They're going to go, what's going on? And then she's going to share with them, about Kresk. And I put some stuff, if they've inquired about it or how you want to role play it. These are things that she knows about the areas. Kresk is one of the oldest city of Barovia. It just lies up there, up the road. But visitors are not too welcome of late. They've been plagued by werewolves, and I fear the werewolves may be moving southward towards the river and my farm, search for food. I've been plagued with wolves myself, hunting my sheep of late. There's also an old abbey up on the hill above Kresk. It's said to be haunted. So she's going to let the players know that the Kresk, is kind of like almost like in a lockdown. They've been plagued with some werewolves, and things aren't going so well. When you do the Kresk module, you'll see that they're not going to let them in right away. If they ask about the Wizards of Wine, she's going to tell them where it is. It's south of here. It's owned by the Mardikov family, and they've always been kind to her. Every time they come by, they give me a bottle of wine. And I often give them some wool or whatever's been growing here in my field. But she hasn't seen them in a long time, and she hopes that they're well. If she asks about the Wizard's Tower, she doesn't know anything about it other than it's haunted, and that lays to the east. If she asks about Vallaki, she'll know that it's the largest village in Barovia. She says, they supply most of the towns. Many trade with them. I sell my wool to Friedrich, the tailor of Vallaki. I grow a small crop of rye, barley, and wheat throughout the year, and if the harvest is good, I sell what I can to Vallaki. Now, if they ask her about the Fanes or the Fae, she says, the sisters are the goddesses of the valley. I often hoped they would return and bless this land and rid us of this darkness. There is a Fane circle south of here, just south of the Wizards of Wine on Yester Hill. It's an ancient shrine to the mountain fae. My mother would take me there on pilgrims 4 times a year to pay tribute, and I would travel with her. I've not visited since my mother has passed. Now, as you roleplay with her and go through this, and they start learning stuff and talking to her, she's going to ask for their help, and it's on the wolf quest. She'll offer for them to stay. She doesn't have much, but she'll tell them she's been plagued with these wolves. The wolves come at night to kill her sheep. And you should be able to hear the wolves. I think I have the wolves playing right now. That's the wrong one. I'll get the wolves playing right now so you can hear the wolves playing at the Raven River. Here we go. Here you go. You'll hear them in the background howling. Maybe you can use that part of your role-playing when the wolves begin howling. She goes, the wolves, they come. They're coming. I'll turn it up. You'll hear them howling in the background. Those are wolves howling. So she's like, she can take notice. The wolves, they come. Please help me protect my sheep against the wolf attack. Now, what happens in this attack, so we're going to go to the encounter here. What happens in the attack, we'll zoom out, is it's not just wolves. There's going to be wolves. They're hiding here in the tall grass, but there's a werewolf here as well. And you're not going to be able to see them, and I'll show you here why. Let me just turn this on their vision so you can see what I'm talking about. They're hiding in the tall grass, so you're not going to see them approach. They're invisible right now, but you can make them visible, and this is how they're going to come. There's 4 of them. They're going to come through the tall grass here, and with them is a werewolf. Now it's really up to you. You're going to learn about the Winter Claw. Or White Claw, Winter Claw, whatever, which you name it, is the werewolf up at Crest. It's Plaguing Vest, Plaguing Kresk. You could tie this werewolf, or you could tie this encounter in with that werewolf encounter if you want to, or you can run this on your own. So she talks about the werewolves moving further down out of the mountains, obviously into the Kresk area, plaguing Kresk, moving closer down to the Raven River, eventually to her farm. And so she's dealing with these wolves who are raiding her sheep, and you're going to try to help her protect her sheep. Now, you obviously don't want the sheep to die. So this is I wanted this to be an interesting encounter because the wolves have no interest. When you run this encounter, the wolves have no interest in the players. And the way I would run this encounter is the sheep's the wolves are going to make a beeline. They're gonna zoom right at the sheep, right? The werewolf is going to zoom at the dudes, right? So the werewolf's going to come obviously at Ovidia and at the party. There's the werewolf there, and the werewolf is going to be attacking Ovidia and the party as the wolves attack the sheep. Now, Ovidia might reveal the fact at this point. She is a druid. She has a quarterstaff, and she's a spellcaster, and she can cast some spells. She's got all the regular druid spells. She's just a regular druid in the quarterstaff. So she cares less about herself and more about her sheep. So she's going to try to kill the sheep. Protect the sheep. So the players, it's going to be interesting role-playing here because the wolves are going to totally ignore the players. They're going to jump the fence and going to start attacking these sheep. And you want your players to try to kill the wolves before they kill the sheep. So each sheep's going to be attacked by a wolf, and they're going to, if a sheep goes down, I would leave the wolf there at the sheep for one round because it's going to start eating a sheep. It's just not going to go kill another sheep. So if one sheep goes down, the wolves will go around it and start just chewing on it. And you can probably describe it to the players, just ripping the sheep apart, the wolves are, for that turn. So if one goes down, the rest of the sheep will go around. The rest of the wolves will go around that sheep. Then the next turn, they'll go try to take out another sheep. And if they do, they'll all surround that sheep and eat it. So that's how I would, role-playing the wolves are hunting a sheep, and they're hunting the sheep because they want to eat. And so if they kill the sheep, they're going to stay around and tear the sheep to shreds, eating the sheep. Meanwhile, the werewolf is going to be attacking the party. So this throws some dynamic, interesting things into the mix. Our lovely Ovidia here, who is the druid, she's going to beg the party to protect her sheep. She does have some spells. At this point, you might, if she starts casting some spells instead of just using your staff, the players might realize that she's a magic user. Now, after the encounter here, she has some stuff to tell the players, and a gift for the players. So here we go. So after the wolf encounter, she'll reveal that she's a druid and a friend of the Fae and Muriel Venshaw. So this is a big coup for your players. They're going to have a new ally, this druid who's a friend of Muriel, the were-raven, and a friend of the Fae. Now, Ovidia does not know that the Forest Fae, no one knows that the Forest Fae is Lila, the mushroom tea lady in Vlaki, but she is a friend of the Fae, and she's friends of Muriel. So Muriel would come and visit often, not only to check on Ovidia, but to get any information. So you remember, Muriel is the spy. She's flying around Barovia, getting intel for not only the Keepers of the Feather, but also for Lila, the Forest Fae. Now, she'll say that her mother was a druid from Yesterhill, but fell in love with a farmer from Crest and had left the druid order. Her mother would visit the druid during the quarterly pilgrimage to the Fane Circle to pay tribute. So her mother was a druid from Yesterhill. This is where things start to get really interesting. She knows the green gem was hidden in the Wizard of Wine. So this is another person that can tell the players about the green gem. It was hidden in the Wizard's Wine. She knows that. But, and here's the big reveal that you're going to learn about the druids. You can learn from her. She is cursed as a jackal-were, as are all the druids of Barovia. See, Strahd cursed them when the druids revolted against Strahd. See, the druids rose up against Strahd when he desecrated the shrines, and he cursed them all to jackal-wers. They're unable to control the change to becoming a jackal-were during the week of the full moon. So at night, their urge under the change have them hunting rodents and small creatures. So she changes into this during the full moon. Let me get it up here. Into a jackal-were. There she is as a jackal-were. She'll change, if it's a full moon, she'll change into a jackal-were, and the jackal-wers hunt rodents and stuff like that. And it's kind of a nasty, kind of rude curse. I mean, they can shape change, but they can only shape change not on their own command. They shape change into jackal-wers, and so they're cursed. So is she. She'll become one at night. She locks herself in her windmill at night during the weeks of the full moon. So she'll change. So she doesn't go out hunting her own sheep. She's afraid that she might even kill her own sheep. Now, she fears that druids have become emboldened to revolt against Strahd and the villages who have forsaken them for the Morning Lord. Remember, the villages, they kind of shunned the druids. The druids, if you've watched or read the Fate Quest, the druids moved to Yesterhill, and the villagers wanted nothing to do with them anymore. They started worshiping the Morning Lord. So the druids feel betrayed, not only by the people, but by Strahd. And the druids have learned about the green gem, and they're going to use that green gem to power their giant wicker man. When we do that module down at Yesterhill, you'll learn about the green gem that they've stolen and the giant wicker man. Now, they want to destroy Strahd. They believe if they destroy Strahd, the curse of them turning into jackal-wers will be lifted. Now, she tells the party this at the very end. If you go to Yester Hill, I'll try to do her voice. If you go to Yester Hill, you must take the tribute of the Fane. Remember, there's 4 tributes, depending on the time of year. It's bread in the winter. It's the Tusser flower in the spring. It's the bushel of apples in the autumn, and I forget what the other one was. There's 4 tributes. The players will know what they are. She'll say, when the druid approach, speak to them in Judaic. Awin Albin, Iliar Elfri Hefen. This means a gift for the Fae, for the light of the earth, the mountain, and the shore. I translated that. I found that online. They will let you pass, pay tribute to the Fane Circle, and they will not interfere. When you finish your tribute, ask to speak to Ovate. He is the seer of the druids. They may offer some advice or guidance. However, they will tell you to leave when you are done. They do not welcome outsiders unless they wish to pay tribute. So this gives you a way to go visit the druids of Yester Hill to get in. If you come to give the tribute and you say this to them, the Awin Alben Elir Elfri Hefen, they'll know that you're there to pay tribute to the Fane. If you go to the Fae Circle and pay tribute to the Fae Circle, they'll let you pass. They are still druids. They still respect the Fae. They won't interfere. And when you're done, if you want to speak to their seer, they'll speak to you, but they're going to ask you to leave afterwards. You've paid your tribute. You're no longer welcome here. You're welcome to pay tribute, then go. So it's kind of a way to engage the druids without going to full battle. Now, if you come down there, and we'll cover this when we do the Yester Hill, and they've got the green gem and they've got the Wicker Man going, things are going to be a little bit different. Okay, so this is a big reveal, a lot of cool information, and she gives them this gift, the Restorative Ointment. This is a great gift. It's a glass jar. Contains 1d4 plus 1 doses of thick mixture. It smells kind of like aloe that she's made, and you can use this ointment. You can swallow it. You can apply it to your skin. The creature receives 2d8 plus 2 hit points. It ceases to be poisoned and cured of any disease. And so you're going to have to roll 1d4 plus 1 to figure out how many doses. But she gives them this restorative ointment as the gift if they kill the wolf and the werewolf. So there you have it. You have the 3 unique encounters, the lone Sentry Tower with the ring, the Hellfire ring, the Lunar River crossing with the old knight who's gone mad and can't remember anything but has a lot of interesting lore with the new creatures, the Nekker. And then you have the Raven River Bridge with another NPC encounter and a combat encounter with some great lore, a gift of ointment, and also information about the druids as well. So I really hope you enjoyed this. Please hit like and subscribe. And until next time, may all your rolls be critically successful.